You know how when your computer just has way too many tabs open and the internal fan kicks into overdrive?
Oh, yeah, it sounds like it's trying to take off.
Right. The casing gets physically hot to the touch.
Yeah.
And you just watch the battery completely drain before your eyes.
Well, it is the universal biological and mechanical sign of system overload.
Yeah.
The machine is just attempting to process way too many parallel tasks at once.
Yeah.
And the architecture simply cannot handle that sheer volume of data.
And honestly, I feel like that is exactly what the modern human condition feels like right now.
Oh, absolutely.
We're all walking around with like way too many background apps running in our brains. You've got the 24-hour news cycle, your overflowing inbox, massive social expectations.
Professional burnout.
Exactly. Professional burnout. It creates this overwhelming psychological heat just from existing in a hyper-connected world.
Yeah, and usually when you feel that kind of internal system overload, you're told to, I don't know, do a digital detox, right? Or start meditating.
Which, ironically, often feels like just another mandatory chore added to an already impossible to-do list for you.
Right. The prospect of sitting in silence can actually induce more anxiety for someone whose baseline is just, well, constant stimulation.
But what if the antidote to all that modern abstract anxiety wasn't an app or a subscription or some new productivity habit?
That would be a relief.
Right. What if it was something entirely physical, something ancient, hyper-localized, and literally dug right out of the harsh dirt? Today, we are taking a deep dive into some truly fascinating source material.
We have a really comprehensive metaphysical guide to look at today.
We do, along with some great insights from a vendor and curator known as Crystals by Rob. Our mission for you today is exploring a rare, localized stone from the high desert that is being used specifically to combat the unique anxieties of modern life.
It's a really specific application.
It is. We are talking about Drum Mountain Blue Agate. Okay, let's unpack this.
To set the stage for you, we aren't just looking at a dry geology lesson today. What we are really exploring is the fascinating intersection of earth sciences and metaphysical healing.
Yeah, bridging the physical and the abstract.
Exactly. We are looking at how the literal physical properties of a raw stone from a very specific punishing environment translate into conceptual tools for emotional survival.
It really is an exploration of how a piece of the earth is used to ground the human mind when it threatens to just float away into a cloud of anxiety.
Well said.
So, to understand why this specific stone is viewed as such a powerful healing tool, we really have to start with where it comes from, because the environmental contrast is absolutely striking.
The geography is key here.
Right. This stone is primarily sourced from the Drum Mountains in Utah. And when you picture the high desert of Utah, you should be visualizing like really rugged terrain.
Extreme temperature fluctuations, too.
Yes, incredibly harsh, arid conditions. It is an unforgiving landscape that simply does not suffer fragility.
It is an environment defined entirely by endurance. Only the strongest geological structures survive that constant weathering.
The wind, the sand.
Yeah, and the extreme thermal shock of those burning hot days and freezing cold nights.
But then you pull this stone out of that rugged, punishing dirt.
Yeah.
And visually, it is the exact opposite of its harsh environment.
It really is visually stunning.
The sources describe Drum Mountain Blue Agate as having these incredibly cool, serene shades of blue and gray. It features these delicate white or gray bands running through it that create continuous ripple-like patterns.
Like water.
Exactly like water.
Yeah.
And it even has these translucent windows where you can look deep into its crystalline history. Looking at the detailed descriptions, it's like finding a frozen piece of the ocean completely trapped in the middle of the high desert.
What a fantastic way to visualize it. Geologically speaking, what you are looking at is a specific type of chalcedony.
Okay, break that down for us.
Sure. Chalcedony is a microcrystalline quartz. The defining feature of this type of quartz is that its crystal structures are so fine, so tightly packed together, that you actually cannot see them with the naked eye.
Wow. So it's incredibly dense.
Very dense. This structural network gives it immense durability, combined with an incredibly smooth texture. Even when the stone is in a rough, unpolished state, it feels smooth.
That's amazing.
And what's fascinating here is how that geological reality directly translates to its metaphysical profile.
Right, how the physical informs the spiritual.
Exactly. Practitioners look at a stone that formed over millions of years in that high desert, and they believe it carries a unique vibration of resilience and quiet strength.
Because it survived all of that.
Right. It is literally born from a chaotic, extreme environment, yet it remains incredibly smooth, cool to the touch, and structurally unbreakable.
So it is quite literally a survivor of extreme conditions.
Precisely. That physical endurance lays the foundation for its reputation in the metaphysical community as a stone of stillness.
A stone of stillness. I like that.
It represents the distinct ability to remain internally cool and completely intact, regardless of the external elements or pressures beating down on you from the outside.
And that physical resilience and that visual coolness we are discussing that directly informs its primary psychological application.
Yes, it does.
The sources refer to Drum Mountain Blue Agate as a master stabilizer. People are actively using this today, almost like emotional first aid.
The central focus of its application is on cooling the modern mind.
The text specifically highlights that this stone targets very contemporary ailments. We are talking about chronic overthinking and the heavy, crushing weight of social and professional expectations.
Things that basically everyone deals with now.
Right. The guide describes it as acting like a gentle sedative for the nervous system, lowering emotional heat and dissolving feelings of panic, stress, and overwhelm.
It really is a powerful tool for that.
It is even recommended for safely releasing suppressed or hidden emotions, helping a person move through deep grief or major life transitions with unshakable dignity. But I have to push back here for a second just to really understand the mechanics of this.
By all means, let's dissect it.
Because I am trying to wrap my head around the practical application here. How exactly does a physical piece of microcrystalline quartz address highly abstract, entirely modern concepts like professional burnout or social expectations?
It's a fair question.
Is the relief that people experience coming from the literal tactile sensation of rubbing a smooth stone, or is it purely the psychological framing? I mean, how does a rock, no matter how durable, fix an overflowing inbox or a looming project deadline?
That is the essential question when we evaluate how metaphysical tools actually function in daily life. And it is not an either-or scenario.
Okay.
It is absolutely a synthesis of both the tactile intervention and the psychological framing.
Oh.
Let's look at the somatic reality of panic for a second.
Walk me through it.
When you are spiraling in a state of professional burnout, your mind is entirely detached from the physical present. You are living in the abstract, terrifying future.
Right. You're obsessing over impending deadlines, perceived expectations, all of that.
Exactly. Your nervous system is flooded with cortisol based on a threat that isn't physically in the room with you.
So you're completely trapped in a theoretical threat response rather than reacting to anything happening in your actual physical space.
Exactly. Holding a piece of Drum Mountain Blue Agate provides an immediate tactile pattern interrupt.
A pattern interrupt?
Yes. The literal physical coolness of the stone, the waxy smoothness of the chalcedony against your skin, it forces your autonomic nervous system to register a physical sensation in the present moment.
Wow.
It pulls your brain out of the abstract future and drops it firmly into the tactile present. That is the initial grounding mechanism.
That makes total sense biologically.
But beyond that tactile interrupt, the stone serves as an anchor for intentionality. The sources note that it clears emotional ruts and fosters a state of grace and patience.
So it's about what you project onto the stone, too.
Yes. When you deliberately associate this physical object with your intention to lower your emotional heat, the stone becomes an external physical anchor for your internal emotional regulation.
Right. So it isn't that the rock is magically answering your emails for you.
No, sadly not.
It's that the physical interaction with the rock creates the internal physiological quiet necessary for you to realize that those emails are not a life or death threat.
Precisely. That frames the practice in such a tangible way.
It really does. It teaches the heart that true growth happens in quiet moments of reflection, as the guide states, by literally forcing a moment of physical quiet.
Exactly.
So the tactile coolness puts out the immediate fire of a panic attack. But burnout isn't just a momentary panic. It is a lingering mental fog.
It is a heavy chronic state.
Right. So how does the stone move from being a momentary physical distraction to actually clearing out that long-term mental static? The sources suggest that once that immediate emotional heat is stabilized, your mind is finally clear enough to address deeper issues.
Yes, and here we are moving from the acute psychological response to the subtle body, or the energetic field. This requires looking at how stress leaves a lingering residue.
Right, the energetic buildup. The sources refer to Drum Mountain Blue Agate as a stone of inner truth.
A very powerful designation.
It is. It is utilized to peel back the dense layers of societal conditioning to reveal a person's authentic soul voice. Energetically speaking, it is considered a profound cleanser of the aura.
It smooths out the static in your energy field.
Yes. And the text specifically calls out static caused by prolonged stress, by discordant environments, and even by the electromagnetic frequencies of our electronics.
All that invisible noise.
Exactly. It is said to reorganize chaotic energy to promote a fluid, healthy circulation of life force, or chi.
And it achieves this subtle clearing by targeting very specific, highly communicative energy centers in the human body.
The chakras. The guide details that it resonates deeply with two specific ones. First, the throat chakra, known in Sanskrit as Vishuddha.
The center of communication.
Right. This energy center is all about truthful, calm, articulate expression and compassionate listening.
Which is so hard to find these days.
It really is. Think about how much physical tension we carry in our jaw and throat when we are afraid to speak up at work or when we swallow our genuine feelings just to avoid conflict.
Oh, people hold so much tension there.
Second, it targets the third eye chakra, or ajna. The stone provides what the text beautifully calls desert-clear intuition and mental clarity, cutting right through the fog of indecision.
Desert clear. I love that phrasing.
Right. It ensures that your internal insights are received clearly and then communicated outward with total integrity. Now, here's where it gets really interesting.
Lay it on me.
If you think about peeling back societal conditioning and smoothing out all that environmental and electronic static just to hear your own voice, it is like the stone acts as a pair of spiritual noise-canceling headphones.
That is a remarkably apt analogy for how energy workers view its function.
It blocks out the Wi-Fi frequencies, the ambient environmental noise, the constant societal expectations of who you should be and what you should care about.
All of that external pressure.
And it creates this sealed, perfectly quiet internal environment where you can finally hear what you actually think without the influence of the algorithm.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of metaphysical anatomy, working with these two specific upper chakras simultaneously is a highly strategic pairing.
How so?
Well, the third eye ajna is the center of perception. It is how you perceive deep, intuitive truth and tap into universal wisdom. It is the realm of pure thought.
Okay, the thinking part.
Right. But thought alone is entirely passive. The throat Vishuddha is the center of manifestation. It is how you articulate that abstract truth into the physical world through vibration and language.
So taking the thought and making it real.
By aligning both of these centers with this specific high desert stone, you are intentionally bridging the physical communicating mind with the expansive, silent wisdom of universal consciousness.
That's a massive bridge to build.
It is. But because the stone itself is fundamentally an earth element, born from rugged physical terrain, it grounds that spiritual energy.
So it keeps you from floating away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It ensures that you don't just float away into abstract spiritual concepts, but that you are able to integrate those intuitive insights into your practical daily life with absolute stability.
So it isn't just about having profound thoughts. It is about having the grounded capacity to actually speak those thoughts out loud.
Precisely.
Which provides the perfect transition into how a person actually utilizes this in their day-to-day routine. Because understanding the conceptual alignment of communication and intuition is fascinating.
Yeah.
But what does that look like in practice on a mundane Tuesday afternoon?
Right. How do you actually use it? The everyday applications are surprisingly practical, and they're intimately tied to the physiological states we just discussed.
The Insights from Crystals by Rob offers several very grounded applications. For instance, just keeping a peace in your workspace.
A classic use case.
Because it directly regulates the throat chakra, it is used for active conflict resolution and promoting a cooperative, open atmosphere during meetings.
Which every office could probably use.
Definitely. Or, if you suffer from a restless mind and cannot stop doom scrolling, placing it under your pillow provides sleep support by quieting that internal static.
Which perfectly ties back to our earlier point about utilizing the stone to lower your emotional heat at the end of a highly stimulating day.
Right.
It serves as a physical boundary between the chaotic workday and the sanctuary of rest.
You can also hold it in your hand during public performances or difficult high-stakes conversations to keep your physical voice steady and prevent your throat from tightening up.
A great grounding technique.
You can use it as a focal point during meditation to literally clear the air of your looping internal dialogue. People wear it as jewelry, or they simply carry a raw or polished piece in their pocket, giving them a discreet, tactile reminder to stay centered throughout the day.
It's very versatile.
It is. But as I was reading through these very practical, modern applications, I hit the section on the stone's energetic associations, and the sheer volume of information is staggering.
Oh, you are referring to the esoteric correspondence charts. They are incredibly dense.
The web of corresponding energies tied to this one specific stone is just vast. Because it works dynamically with both the throat and third eye, it shares broad associations with animals like the eagle, the raven, and the spider.
Fascinating animals, all of them.
It's tied to zodiac signs Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, and to elemental spirits like sylphs and zephyrs.
Sylphs being the mythological spirits of the air, representing intellect and swift communication, which aligns perfectly with the throat chakra.
Right, that makes sense. But then the text gets incredibly granular based on the specific chakra being activated.
It really breaks it down.
For the throat chakra, the stone is associated with the archangel Raphael, the element of air, the planet Mercury, and deities like Maya, the Egyptian god Thoth, and the Sumerian god Enlil.
A very diverse pantheon.
Very. And it connects to very specific herbs like slippery elm and black pepper. But when focused on the third eye chakra, the associations shift completely.
Because the focus changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It associates with the archangel Metatron, the planet Saturn, deities like Buddha, Zeus, and Kuan Yin, and a completely different set of herbs like cinnamon, passion flower, and Shankpushpi.
It is a remarkably comprehensive, multifaceted metaphysical profile that draws from almost every major esoteric tradition globally.
It is. But looking at this list, Zeus, Thoth, Mercury, the Buddha, these are all major archetypes of high-altitude vision and untangled divine communication.
Yes, they are.
Is the metaphysical community basically crowdsourcing a global database of mental clarity?
Yeah.
Why does a singular microcrystalline rock pulled out of the dirt in the Drum Mountains of Utah draw connections to such a massive, diverse tapestry of global mythologies?
It's a great question.
I mean, what does a Utah agate actually have to do with the Greek god of the sky, the Egyptian god of writing, and an Ayurvedic herb like Shankpushpi?
This raises an important question about how humans have historically interacted with the natural world, and how metaphysical systems are actually constructed over millennia.
Okay, lay it out for us.
It obviously isn't that the ancient Egyptians or the ancient Greeks were secretly mining chalcedony in the American Southwest.
Right, obviously not.
It is entirely about the concept of vibrational resonance and human archetypes.
Walk me through how that mapping actually works.
The core energetic signatures of Drum Mountain Blue Agate, according to those who rigorously work with it, are truthful communication, pristine mental clarity, and profound intuition.
The essentials for a clear mind.
Exactly. Throughout the entirety of human history, across every single isolated culture, we have desperately sought to embody those exact traits. And in our attempt to understand them, we created myths, gods, and complex botanical systems to represent them.
So there are symbols.
Yes. Thoth is the ultimate archetype of divine communication and the recording of wisdom. Zeus sits upon the highest peak, representing clear, unclouded vision that sees the whole board without being bogged down by the trivial details below.
That makes perfect sense.
And look at the herbs. The herb Shankpushpi has been used in Ayurveda for centuries specifically because it physically calms the nervous system and enhances cognitive function.
Oh, wow.
And slippery elm literally physically coats and soothes a sore throat, mapping a physical healing property directly onto the energetic concept of healing the throat chakra.
So they're all essentially sharing the exact same job description, just written in different cultural languages.
Exactly. The stone, the various gods, the angelic entities, the specific herbs, they are all different physical or mythological expressions of the exact same frequency.
That's a really beautiful way to look at it.
When a modern practitioner looks at this Utah stone and associates it with the Buddha or the planet Mercury, they're saying, this physical object right here on my desk hums at the exact same universal frequency of clear truth and unimpeded communication that these ancient symbols represent.
So it's a proxy for those bigger ideas.
It is mapping a universal human pursuit onto a tangible physical tool. It demonstrates beautifully that the desire for inner peace and clear expression isn't just some modern wellness trend.
Right, it's not just a hashtag.
No, it is a fundamental ancient part of the human operating system.
That reframes the entire concept for me. It positions the stone not merely as a pretty rock to look at while you answer emails, but as a physical node connecting you to this massive, ancient network of human wisdom and biological regulation.
It entirely depends on what specific resonance you are intentionally trying to cultivate within your own environment.
So what does this all mean? Let's recap the journey we've just been on together.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. We started in the rugged, punishing geologic reality of the Drum Mountains in Utah, where extreme thermal conditions forge a microcrystalline stone of incredible durability, characterized by visually stunning, serene blue, ocean-like bands.
A literal survivor.
We explored how that literal physical resilience translates into a metaphysical master stabilizer for the modern, overstimulated mind. We saw how its tactile coolness serves as emotional first aid, interrupting the somatic nervous system to cool the heat of burnout and abstract panic.
We then examined its specific role in clearing the lingering static of our chaotic digital lives.
Yes, the aura cleansing.
Right. It acts as an energetic cleanser that perfectly aligns the throat and third eye chakras, serving as those spiritual noise-canceling headphones to bridge clear, intuitive wisdom with authentic, fearless communication.
And finally, we traced how those core properties link this localized high desert stone to a vast global tapestry of ancient mythologies, recognizing that whether you call upon Thoth, Zeus, or simply the physical resilience of Chalcedony, humans have always needed tools to help them see clearly and speak truthfully.
It's a universal need.
The ultimate takeaway for you, the listener, is highly personal and adaptable. Whether you decide to utilize Drum Mountain Blue Agate as a grounding meditation anchor in the early morning, a pocket stone you clutch to steady your nervous system before a terrifying public speaking gig.
Or just keeping it on your desk.
Exactly. Simply as a beautiful visual reminder on your desk to subconsciously promote a cooperative vibe in a stressful workspace, the core value remains entirely the same. It is about actively carving out a sanctuary of peace in an incredibly noisy, demanding world.
It provides a tangible mechanism for remembering how to be still when everything else is moving way too fast.
There was a specific line from the source material that really stuck with me during this deep dive. The guide states that this stone reminds the human spirit that we are as enduring as the mountains.
That's a powerful statement.
It is. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day, dealing with your overflowing inbox, the endless notifications, and the relentless digital static.
The modern reality.
We just talked about how this agate took millions of years to form, slowly capturing the history of the Earth layer by layer in a permanent, unbreakable physical record.
Millions of years of enduring pressure.
Right. Now, in contrast, think about the sheer volume of digital data you process and discard in a single afternoon. What if the ultimate value of holding a piece of Drum Mountain Blue Agate isn't just about calming your anxiety in the moment, but about physically confronting deep geological time?
Oh, wow.
It forces you to ask, while the Earth is busy creating enduring, beautiful records of its history in the dirt, what exactly are we leaving behind with our frantic, exhausting digital footprints?
A profound contrast between geological endurance and digital impermanence.
A reminder to build something that lasts. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.